want to work with us so that.
That's nice.
A top line media event. We must, so that in the meeting we can have this another action that we must take, and probably the results of this meeting should be put in a press interacting with the media to know this, that it has to dominate this morning is knowledge. And this generation, that this generation has given up on reading. I don't know why. I'm too old to know, because probably it's a generational thing. But the only way you can find knowledge is to read. Knowledge. Urge you and add my voice to that we must encourage. I mean, we can do all the media stuff, and I think that we should also try and do radio dramas and all the rest of it. As I'm saying, I'll be willing to be part of a task force, small, to think about what to do, and we can do some of those things. Understanding what is happening within the global space. This is the reason why so many people are falling prey to fraudsters and traffickers and all the rest of it, and we all hear those horrendous tales. I think we must accept the responsibility to become change makers.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you very much for that powerful contribution. But the rest of my panel, you are the student leaders, and from what our boss said, I want to know from your perspective, how do you think as student leaders we can this operationalizing stage? That it is the state that need to do bring up their of this compact. How do you think as student leaders and as students we can make our voices heard in that stage of the go away from us, but we will also be able to tap into
right. Thank you. My name is Pamela, and students will always be students. Student perspective comes to migration, and one of the immigrate. There are a lot of issues where wants to go out work, and some traps. And how are we going to identify all these people that are for traps? As my colleague, the Canada thing, this is something that came to the attention of the university when it didn't go through. But assuming it went through, and then they go to study or visit whatever they had to do. These things you always see. Yeah. Operationalizing it's fine, but there are a lot of challenges in this whole migration thing. What is the embassy in various Ghanaian embassies in various countries doing in the other countries? And if that is the case, where I have I had when we were there. We went to the market and I wanted to cross the Ghanaian rules. When there's local camera, you can easily cross. So I just wanted to cross with my friends. And they told me, you can't do this here. This place, if you do this, you'll be arrested. And in China, be careful. This can happen to you. This can happen to you. Yes, it boils down to information. I wasn't aware with a lot of things. So if that is it, I asked, what are the rights, human rights governing this? I could have researched to find out where I'm visiting, what are their rights, so that I do not find myself wanting. And that was another big mistake we didn't. That's all. I should blame myself.
So if I understand you might want the government to get the student leaders involved or the students involved.
Also is in Ghana, we Ghanaians do not travel to, but yet we want to travel to another country. We should be able to explore in our region. You can know how to handle people of other regions. These are under challenge. We propagate the message of study abroad, do this. If we student leaders can organize trips to know and find out more about abuse, the fact into them, get ourselves involved to travel to these places. Mind you, you are traveling to another country. You are not abreast with whatever is there. There are language barriers and a whole lot of challenges. But if we take opportunity to know at least 10 regions or 5 regions in Ghana, it's quite better. Let's get to accept what we have and who we are.
Great.
Yes. So
great.
I think that's my submission.
Okay, so let's have it with Mr. Samuel.
If you are seated between 3 ladies, it is so refreshing. And then looking at their face, subject, the only speaker, you only take who in some few minutes will say everything you want to say. Now, I would only have to turn at the moderator who is around my age to I would say that before we can operationalize these, we have to even know the processes that we ought to go through. So what I would student leaders, we can help in the operationalization of the compact. First of all, I think that we should have regional and national implementation. The government may not understand the challenges that we go through when we want to travel. GRASAG or USAG or the student union, instead of them going to say on our behalf, they'll come and tell us NUCS stands with Kotoko, NUCS in GMPC, unnecessary things. So the government at the end of the day do not understand the challenges, a reason or the sense in why they have to, because individuals can, so they have to understand our challenges so that when we student unions enough for them to be understand the need to implement. Secondly is to have centers. What I mean by centers is information centers. You know, we have said every speaker who speaks will say, we don't have information, we don't have information. There are not so many information centers. If it were not today, I never knew the immigration service have information. I never knew. Be what? Research center. We have to have a fair idea of those who are traveling outside the country. When you go to Canada, how many Ghanaians you have that centers where in few words. I think that the world has come to a place that if we cannot read and tell us in few words. So these centers ought to be up so that we can follow. I also
they're happy with that.
I also think that the third step, we have to have mechanism, capacity building mechanism. And this capacity building mechanism ought to even do with MPC scholarship. They get there and their stipends do not even come. What is the motivation to even want to travel, go and study something and come and help your country? For me, migration is good. There are so many potentials in Ghana, but we can also go there. The Kwame Nkrumahs, we hail them and all. They went to learn and they brought it back again. It's not as if they were all the wisdoms here. So it is good to travel. So when we travel, the stipends ought to be given us on time so we don't overburden ourselves there.
Beautiful.
Because we are coming to learn to impact our country. We also have to look at connection hub. How do we connect with Ghanaians in the country and in the diaspora? Because there are certain things, information you need that if you know somebody, they are even refusing to read to tell you in few words, you can call your information so you don't read a length. Even in one page, we take 10 pages to write it, and you expect us to come and read when we have IAs to write. So it is equally important that we have to look at it that way. Also, the United Nations ought to have every member countries, at least they have sent policy, a realistic one. And finally, we have to look at the review process, because it is a policy that does not work for all countries at a go. Do you understand? So we are implementing this side of it. How do we review it? We come back and take stock of what we have done so far. Are the students okay with it? If they are not okay with it, what should we add? What should we take off to make sure that the student is satisfied with the policy? Now, when a student is traveling, he has accurate information. He has a fair idea about the Ghanaian community he's going to meet outside there and what have you. So these are the 5 ourselves well, and we shape our students who wins hide that, and it is paying capitation. Thank you.
All right, okay, sure. So, President of King's University, it's your turn now.
Thank you very much. Before you speak,
use the pressure.
Exactly. Some U.S. educational policies says that the number of international students at U.S. contribute about £20 sterling to U.S. economy, and even in Ghana, Join Online to published that 10,383 international students in Ghana. Win-win for all. Now back to what we are discussing. I believe all stakeholders of the compact should all come on board to make sure. When I talk about the stakeholders, I'm talking about the various student unions, because we are centering on students. Various student unions, the trade. The Trade Union Congress, the civil societies, various university sectors or centers should all come on board to make sure that people understand or have a fair idea of this GCM, this whole GCM thing, and even people should know the purpose of it. Because I believe if it wasn't myself, I didn't even have any idea about the whole until I was told I have to be on the panel. I had to go and research on it. So there should be much education from the stakeholders to make sure that people have a fair idea of the whole thing. And also, yes, there is a saying that lack of knowledge, my people perish. So if people are able to understand the whole policy, it is going to make the implementation very easier. Yes.
So my last panelist is an entrepreneur, and I would like to know from your perspective, what benefits you think are in this compact for you as an entrepreneur?
Okay, thank you so much. Beautiful ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Edu Safoa. I'm the CEO of Acatesia Group, and we power the entrepreneurs because of what I do. I left school so long ago, so my mind is business. Let's go and get the money, that sort. So I spoke to them and I asked them the question that, what are your issues, like coming from South Africa, Nigeria to live in Ghana? One of the guys told me that what they decided, like his decision was to take a, so he's living in Ghana for the past years. He's living and he has to live with friends. And even this morning, nobody knows him, so that's fine. I had to give him some money, and like he said, he wants to get new accommodation and all those stuff.
Adventure is interesting.
Yes, and I speak to other students as well, and they were like, I wanted to experience other culture and all that. But I'll buy into what Pamela said. If you want to go into Rome, know what the Romans do. If you want to come to Ghana, what does, like, we Ghanaians, what are we up to? When you want to, like myself, I always tell people that Krasini bienu akabe boneda. Yes, because if I want to cross the road, me, even as I'm sitting here, I can take like 10 minutes. I look here, I look there, like I have to be extra careful what I'm doing. So to buy into what my SLC president are saying, if as a student, you love to travel anywhere, you have to have information of the place. What are the people up to? Because 3 days ago, and the people, that most of them are not friendly, but they are Ghanaians. Ask Queensley Debbie. I was like, wow, even have to go. And my younger brother studies in Russia science. He knows book. He's there, and sometimes myself that not will be a somehow, but no, they need from other came to help with when it comes to media, because I have that have that influence. Yes, I want to come into this scheme, be with the board, like just the media side.
To have you.
Yes, and as an entrepreneur, with me, I love adventure. Like, I'm somebody that I take the hustle on. I came here, I completed school like I want to come and learn something. I'll have.
So I inform you which civil society with in order to share this information. Mr. Jan. Yeah.
Well, if you have read up on the Global Compact, you'd know that right from the first meetings, because this actually came up at a time when there was the migration crisis, and it was a response. And civil society was drawn into it throughout the processes when the New York Convention, December 2018, when it was adopted. And so if you follow that pattern, you'd see that there's a cluster of civil society groups, and the international migration patterns, IOM and all as stakeholders are there. But when you come to Ghana, I would think that obviously are very important. But to work also with the trade unions, not wanting to study abroad or go unions, the other groups that also, the religious groups are also good at mobilizing, because like in Ghana, whatever you want to do, if you don't bring in the churches and the mosques and the and convenience, you have to factor these lines, think about the travel agencies also have their own associations and all. They also have the media. So if you history of the compact, how it was made, guidelines on how civil society may operationalize it, so how we may proceed.
I think you mentioned quite a number of them. I don't know if any of my panel members have what role they can play in.
Okay, what I want to share, or probably can be a question again, is the Ghana exports and noted for just and from Ghana and all are they playing when it comes to migration?
So I think as to that now you have products you sell, right? So yeah, something they can link up with people like this, right?
Yeah, but I also think that they also have a role to play in Ghana. In fact, we all hear when a good is being exported, people smuggle them. I think students have also fallen short for this, that they've smuggled themselves out of this country. So if that is the case, they should also come. Don'ts. I believe that someone can also package himself, ship it to another country. Yes, it's a price if it's happening. So in promoting the campaigns on this, we have to promote ourselves and make it look attractive no matter what. We have to own what we have. So we all here, we have a role to play in terms of nationalizing this global compact migration.
Student, I think one country to the next country. We are students and we have expertise, knowledge, share knowledge. How do you transport nurses from Ghana to the other country and all that? So I think quite impressive. Let's
to the stakeholder I want to dilate on. I only to the trade union. If they are lobbying a lot for their people, they are always lobbying governments to make sure the human rights of its people are well. Academia, I don't know, because I think that Christianity is something of our mind. I think my personal, we can argue about it. Black is like it's not. So if the black you buy a slippers, you buy it, oh, this is just Kumasi sandals, you are wearing very. Academia has taught us not even important. There's nothing, we are just here like was founded Africa, and then he said there were only trees and animals. We are taught. So when I come outside there, and so academia find a way of making it. We can. Everything is here. That money can help anyway. People here, if you want to ask, you ask them. The person who does not even know Terminal 3 of Kotoka International Airport. What is the long building in France? He will tell you. What in Dubai? But he's not been there before. But just around him or her, he doesn't know what happens there. So you would always want to go to France, to Dubai, to Canada, where have you, to go and see what you see in the pictures. By me, so you want to go and see the trees. You have to tap in them and in ensuring that we get a man here and do whatever we can.
Thank you. I also like, when we talk about the student union, first of all, that I want to travel either to further their education or to work. So I think it is a responsibility on all student unions, as we are having today, about say the very prudent for all student unions to take about the trade union the standard wages. Yes, to fight standard wages people in order not, for example, in local content law, which people, companies, and individuals. So I think Congress and the students' unions can also take.
Entrepreneur.
Thank you so much, Amedusa, for what the SRC president of AUCC said. I remember that a lady was internet, and I told her that I'm interested. She sent me the hills and the internet, like the picture looks different. I'm drawing done what the picture was good. When I travel outside Ghana, pictures that I've seen on the internet, I try to get close to those pictures. If it's a building, if like it's a venue, I try to go there, and I realize that the images you see on the internet is not what like you see in reality. What am I trying to say? Like our president is saying, if you live in Ghana and you believe that whatever you're doing will succeed, my spiritual father will tell you that attract. It depends on how attractive you make whatever that you're doing. See, at the end of the government, like our country Ghana, do they have any policy to guide us when we leave outside Ghana? Because I recall I traveled somewhere and one of the immigration officers asked me that, who is your current president? Then I mentioned Nana Addo Dankwa. He asked me, who is that? Then I said, really? But he said, yes, I know John Mahama, but I don't know the other one you're talking about. Then I was like, no, this guy is a lie. But it was true. He wasn't lying to me. So at the end, when we travel outside Ghana, that guy and I look at the pitch like like I watched the two parks. I asked myself, boy, so you see the difference is how you make it. You understand the difference is how you make it. So the government should draw policy for us as students, because I'm going back to school. I'm going back to school very soon. So if I want to travel from, they must give me a policy look important to the eyes of the people. Thank you.
Great. So I see that there are a lot of inputs that we will have if the country is drafting their country-specific migration policy. So I've realized that is why your involvement will be very, very important. So we need to bring ourselves up front when that stage comes so that we can make our voices heard. But I'll have to take from the panel if you have any questions now.
Very proud of you. All your student leaders. It is not pool party. It is not and everything, they wouldn't. But for you to be and then listening to your contribution, I think we are proud of you, and we must put our hands together. One key thing that has to read, even though we can read. And let me tell you, the truth is that this generation we find ourselves in, I call it an infographic generation, where people are much more audiovisual than reading. I mean, when they were internet, I want to be very generous, even if it was very limited. All that they had were books. You have to go to the library, everything was in books. Now go to the universities and count the number of students who even go to the library to borrow books, let alone to sit in the libraries to study. So I'm just thinking, oh, what can we do? I think we need to translate or kind of hard policies in books into something audiovisual. Recently, my uncle just called me that my nephew, those things, she doesn't read. Then I went online and I found a tablet which has an app and everything, educational material. So this time around, instead of her flipping through books, she's just watching and playing. And she tells me now she's picking up ourselves. If we keep on keeping things in documents like this, our grandchildren will come and they will be singing the same song. So as policymakers, Peter, I'm just thinking that even if we further and translate it from books into audiovisual for people who cannot read, who cannot read but they can read, to just play a video. Secondly, what I'm much more interested in has to do with programming. I love the way you make your presentations, but I was just listening to you and thinking, how can you, as a president, are you a president? Good, of your institution, how can you come up with programs, okay, that would kind of disseminate some of these things? Okay, there are a lot of global agendas. We have the Agenda 2063, we have the SDGs, we have the CESA everywhere. But I believe that all of you here, tomorrow you are going to be the next ministers of state, you are going to be the key business tycoons in Africa and globally. But I think your responsibility now is to educate us. SRC Week celebration, can you translate this migration to a topic, do it so beautifully? Translate the information to your people so beautifully. Would have the opportunity to join you. I think I'm so much proud of you. Thank you.
Okay, so maybe just what I want to say might help. Okay, so that's why we put together something like this, and I think it might help us in a discussion. We understand that it would and so in that sense, what it means is that I can move to your country and compete with you for a job and get it on merit. Skills, competences, as though it was within your country. Now what it means is that your competition is not legal for this MIT. It's all these universities. And what it means is that you must harness, once this compact is that is binding, every get it. Now it might create a situation where we'll start talking about and begin to prepare our mind for the possibility of what we want to draw your mind to get fluid. They will decide skill sets just as much as they are mobile. Somebody else's sort of preparations are we making to anticipate. Next thing is that you see let's drift towards other space and all of that. Now you see, you mentioned that we have IA, we have all of that. Yes, it's well and good to have IAs and all of that, but you see, it's text. And sometimes the volume is like 1,000 pages. And that's how you drown your country if you can't read that 1,000-page text. But the fact is that country is handed over to you to govern it. It will not be about what is audio or what is not. Let's tune our mind to what is coming. And like it or not, it's coming. Like we talk about AI. We've talked about the fact that jobs will disappear, will automate jobs, will create different ones. And they are either high-end or low-end. There are no in-between. The in-betweens will lose jobs. But these are things that are coming. So when we create conversations like this, let's be serious. Like you see, let's take it like these are things that will come. Whether we like organizations, we can have the knowledge. So that when we move out, we can inform those who don't have the benefit. Like he says, not everybody has the benefit to sit in a classroom like myself and you. But when we get this privilege, it must not just be for ourselves, but it must be for those who are out. I said, let's use it. Let's can also benefit.
Good afternoon. My name is Sasamo Bangura, Chief Justice, CAF University College. I'm from Sierra Leone. I would like to state that treaties are legally binding, contract between parties. And there's a principle in law, pacta sunt servanda, between the parties. And imply, I don't know, with regards to the GSM, it's standing in. I could get a draft, meaning it's not been ratified. So which is why it's not binding. But one people-centered, sustainable. One is, as much as it is not yet binding, is the ECOWAS protocol relating to the movement of persons on the abolition of visas and given to international students or people who migrate into Ghana. I know people, let me not sell myself, but I know people who, when they came to Ghana, were given 60 days. This compact. How would we attempt to, or how would we go about ensuring that this right is ascribed to migrants?
Interventions are very interesting, and I first would like to that audio visuals, I mean, to tag that this is a generation of info, because place and everything, but nobody is saying that reading means you must walk here. You can have it and see over 2,000 books, so everybody has it, but you're not reading. The person, it has the same effect. So let's digress. The global competition, the global 360 things we are doing, you're no longer competing internally. So a time is coming when for every job that's open here in Ghana, there are so many applicants. There was some, the closing date was a Friday. This is about 7-8 years ago. I had difficulties with my internet. On the Monday, but they didn't even open it. The Ghana internet, whatever it was. That what it represents. The truth versus Now, as to the, you see what this compact is. You have ECOWAS, various others on the you see in our luckily this compact represents the progressive wing. At that time there were those who wanted to close borders, some want to build walls, fence around America, but for people to move easily, to see borders disappear. Went to several countries and they've removed visa restrictions, and so you receive your visas on arrival. You don't need to do that. And we hope that all these things over time will lead us sub-region. Will be extending the African Continental Free Trade Area agreement lead to a continent, and that's the next logical step. This compact is saying eventually people will travel. Some of us have done is the turn of young people, Mediterranean, are under 40 mostly. If not old people, they are your people, your generation. You take the lead on this. It is if we instill people travel for so many things. Different countries, challenge them, and only you can. Is that you can better place. Well, everything you do, people, when you must insist to do it. And if you do it, if you Africa, if you, I think that the young people more to gain, you have the world ahead of you. That can stop is if you stop reading. If you see pictures, then continue to read. And country to you, and then we say anything 5 page read. I'm saying take it absolutely serious. Jokes. Oh, born before even to technology, because you were born
compact and how. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You too. Please clap for yourself. Clap for yourself. Down the curtain. So far, I would like Mr. Craig. Well,
The Council from UMAT, give the vote of thanks. Most dedicate you to all of you from far and near. Every talk of far, my you sat in the car for about 8 hours, right? Yes. To the organizers of the media partners, thank you very much.
and then the last, Miss Nancy, National Studies.
Please let us pray. We thank you for all issues that were discussed here relating to student leadership and also the country took time off their busy schedules to be here today. May you help us to play our role